Hey everyone, and welcome from the IELTS Focus. All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle a really common IELTS Task 2 question today. You've probably seen something like it before. It's all about why girls often lean towards art subjects while boys tend to go for science. We're going to break down everything you need, the vocabulary, the ideas, so you can write a seriously powerful, high-scoring essay. Ready? Let's do this. So here it is, the question itself. In schools and universities, girls tend to choose art subjects while boys choose science subjects. What is the reason? Should the trend be changed? You'll see this kind of two-part question all the time. First, they want the why, and then they want your opinion. Should we do something about it? This is actually a fantastic opportunity because it lets you show the examiner you can build a really solid, well-structured argument from start to finish. Right, so the big question is, how do you get from just a regular answer to a truly impressive Band 8+ response? Well, that's exactly what we're going to figure out together. And believe it or not, it all kicks off with a killer introduction. The absolute key to a great intro? You guessed it, paraphrasing the question like a pro. Let's talk about paraphrasing. This is your first step to a high score. Think about it. Your introduction is the very first thing the examiner reads. It's your first chance to make a great impression. And when you can skillfully rephrase the question, you're immediately showing them, hey, I've got a great vocabulary and I know how to structure a sentence. It just sets the tone for the whole essay. Okay, let's look at some different ways to say this. Anyone can write choose, right? But we want to do better. Look at the verbs here. Female students prefer arts, while males are inclined towards science. That sounds so much better. Or how about this one? Boys opt for, or even gravitate towards scientific fields. See, these are the kinds of precise academic words that will make your writing instantly sound more sophisticated. And it's not just about swapping out words. Check this out. You can totally restructure the sentence to show off your grammar skills. So instead of starting the same old way with, in schools and universities, why not flip it? Start with something like, a gender-based preference can be seen. Or use what we call reporting language, like many schools report that. Oh, and adding adverbs, like typically pursue, that's a simple trick that adds a nice formal touch. And here are even more great options. Leaning towards is a fantastic, natural-sounding alternative. And I really like this one, saying that gender differences are evident. It's such a strong, confident way to open your essay. You know, you don't need to memorize all of these. Just getting comfortable with 2 or 3 of these variations is an amazing strategy to have in your back pocket for test day. Okay, part 1, explaining the reasons. You've nailed your introduction, you've paraphrased the question beautifully, awesome. Now it's time to get into the meat of the essay and answer that first question. Why does this happen? Let's dig into some powerful ideas for your first body paragraph. So reason number 1, and this is a big one. Social stereotypes. Honestly, this is such a strong and well-supported argument. Examiners have seen it before, they know it's valid, and it gives you a lot to talk about. Just look at the societal expectations we often grow up with. From a very young age, society kind of nudges us in different directions, doesn't it? Girls are often encouraged to be creative and expressive, praised for drawing or writing. That lines up perfectly with the arts. Meanwhile, boys are often guided towards more logical, technical thinking. They get pushed to be great at math and physics. So how do you write about this? Well, here's the key language I want to use. You can talk about traditional gender stereotypes. And these stereotypes are reinforced by everyone, parents, teachers, the media. And here's the crucial part. Students eventually internalize these roles. It becomes part of how they see themselves. And that consistent reinforcement, day after day, is what shapes their academic preferences. All right, here's another fantastic point you can make. And it ties in really nicely with stereotypes. It's all about confidence differences. It's not just about what society tells you, but how that affects how you perceive your own abilities. Let's compare this. There's a lot of research suggesting that girls might feel a little less confident when it comes to subjects that have this reputation for being super difficult or competitive, like advanced physics. Boys, on the other hand, are often raised to be more competitive, so they might see those same tough technical challenges as a way to prove themselves, to show how competent they are. So let's get you the language for this. You could start your sentence with a great phrase like, a contributing factor is. Then you can talk about perceived ability or the competitive nature of a subject. This difference in confidence creates what experts call a confidence gap. And that gap, it directly leads to a gender imbalance in these subjects. Okay, part 2, arguing for change.
We've explained the why. Now we have to hit the second part of the question head on. Should this trend be changed? For a top score, you absolutely have to give a clear opinion. So let's build the case for a strong yes. This trend should be changed.
Your first and probably your most powerful argument for change is all about promoting equality and opportunity. It really boils down to this fundamental idea that every student should have the same chances, no matter their gender.
So when you write about this, here's your linguistic toolkit. You can argue that we have to ensure equal opportunities for everyone. Why? Because limiting choices based on outdated stereotypes can restrict individual potential. Simple as that. The bigger goal is to encourage diversity in every field, which ultimately creates a more balanced workforce. And if you want a killer example, just mention how having more women in STEM fields can really contribute to innovation. It's a win-win for everybody.
Okay, for your second argument, let's zoom in from the big picture of society to the individual student. This point is just as important. It's all about encouraging personal interest over social norms. In other words, letting people follow their true passion. And here's the language to back it up. We want students to be able to follow their true interests. Why? Well, it's pretty clear that academic success is linked to genuine passion. It just makes sense, right? If you love what you're studying, you're more likely to excel. It's not just about grades either. It reduces stress and increases motivation. Ultimately, it fosters both personal satisfaction and academic achievement. You can't really argue with that. All right, we have covered so much ground. A ton of great vocabulary and powerful ideas. So think of this next slide as your Band 8 Plus toolkit. We've put all the most important phrases we've talked about into one single place. Seriously, this is the one you want to pause on, maybe even screenshot, and really study. Let's do a super quick review. For paraphrasing, you've got awesome phrases like inclined towards and gravitate towards. For social stereotypes, remember, internalize these roles and shapes preferences. When you talk about confidence, use confidence gap and perceived ability. For equality, the goal is a balanced workforce that can contribute to innovation. And finally, for personal interest, connect genuine passion with academic achievement. These really are the essential building blocks for your essay. So there you have it. You are now totally equipped with the tools you need to crush this question. But before we go, here's one last thing to think about. This isn't just some random essay topic, right? It's a real thing that happens in the real world. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Beyond the exam, how can we, in our own lives, actually encourage true passion over stereotypes in education? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this breakdown.